Yes, I apologize. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with my computer. I'll keep trying to make it work, but I'm here.
This meeting is being held pursuant to Governor Hochul's, the laws of New York, I think Chapter 417 of the laws of New York 2021, which allows for remote meetings. And the meeting tonight, I don't have my script in front of me right now. It's being aired on lmctv.org and live streamed and on channel, can one of you tell me which channels on FiOS?
35 on FiOS and 76 on Optimum.
Okay, and the public notice provided instructions on how people can view and participate in the meetings, including emails that can be sent in. And can you tell me which email address is being used if viewers want to email during the meeting?
Yeah, we're going to use my email address, rpolcari, Polcari, at townmamaroneckny.org.
And Francine, can you confirm for the record that this meeting was duly noticed?
Yes, it was.
And can you also confirm that the items on for public hearing have been duly noticed?
Yes, they all have.
Okay, I turn it back to you, Arthur.
I'd like to welcome everyone to our final Zoom meeting for 2021. It's just been a wonderful year, and hopefully 2022 will be much better, hopefully. Francine, you want to,
Application number 1, case number 3254, T-Mobile, 1380 Boston Post Road, requesting internally illuminated wall signs on the premises located at 1380 Boston Post Road and known on the tax assessment map as block 409, lot 194.
make a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
Are they here?
Everybody vote. Any nays?
Paula?
Hello,
Hi.
can you hear me? Hi, good evening.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm here now.
Mhm. Okay.
You're on.
Okay, they basically want to keep what is there now, which is the illuminated sign on the front side of the store and another illuminated sign on the side of the store, which is the same that they currently have now.
They have one on the side of the store?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
correct.
I don't believe there's a permit for that one. I didn't, so they have to get that one. That's what it's, well, they're replacing it anyway, so they're getting a new permit.
Size of the letters the same?
It's very different. It's hot pink.
It's different, and the one that is on the front, it's proposed to be installed right above the entrance door, not on the side that they have it now.
But the size of the letters is the same as what's there now?
No, they are different.
Bigger? Do we have any, Richard, do we have any requirements for maximum size of letters?
We do, I believe, I looked that up and I believe it did fit when I looked at it, but I can double check. Maybe.
What zone is this in?
I'm in the middle of one other thing, so I can't answer that.
Okay. I was looking for a zoning chart to see if it.
In the
Yeah.
in the notice of disapproval. Oh, actually, it doesn't say in the notice.
It doesn't say, that's why I was asking. Because we're going to be talking about 7 Madison Avenue, And specifically, signs are not permitted on a sidewall there. And I was wondering if this is different, that says a BMUB zone. So are signs permitted on the side wall for this
They're asking
T-Mobile
for a
site?
they're asking for a variance from that. That's in all districts.
Richard, it's in all
So
districts.
is this, are we looking at two variances? One for illumination and one for the side wall?
175-12C and 175-11B.
Okay, so 175-11B is what covers the sidewall issue,
Yes.
okay?
I thought there was a limit to how many signs one can have on a building,
2 signs.
Two signs, so they're looking for two.
and they have to. So where does the sidewall come into this?
You're not allowed to have them on the sidewall.
So the two signs would have to be in the front of the building?
No, there's one on the sidewall, that kind of not pillar, the extension that goes above, as you're coming on Post Road heading toward New Rochelle. That's where it's on a wall there, a high wall.
And the other sign is the sign that's in front?
Yes,
So there's 2 signs,
yes.
correct?
There are already 2 signs and they
Yeah.
want to replace those signs.
Yes,
with
I understand that. So
Right,
if
or-
2 signs are allowed. Where would the 2 signs be placed if she
It
didn't?
doesn't,
if-
Arthur.
Why is it?
Arthur, to answer your first question before, 24 inches is the height of a lettering. You can have up to 32 inches for the height of a sign, the sign itself. If the sign is only lettering, it can be 32 inches tall.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
the height of the sign
indicating,
is,
2 feet is the sign.
2'9" is
lettering.
33 inches.
Yes.
So is that also another variance?
No, you're allowed to go 32 inches, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's 33.
The lettering?
Oh, the sign.
It's actually 33 3/4 inches is the.
33 and
sign
3/4.
specified.
I was being, okay, fine.
Right.
It's greater than 32.
Yep, you're right. Something must have changed because I didn't catch that one before.
Looks like the same sign in both cases.
Well, I think the sign that's there now, I mean, same sign on both sides of the building. That's proposed.
I'm personally a little concerned about, the current sign is not terribly obtrusive. And I know that we're looking at a rendering, but are we
Well,
really talking about something that is giant hot pink? with-
Jonathan, before you go, the BAR has, right, Francine, the BAR approved this one, right?
PAO just asked them to change exactly where it was supposed to be on the building, to shrink it down. They didn't like the way it fit in the front, but the color is the company's color.
Like, say again, what did the BAR request in
They
their review?
requested that the original sign that they saw took up too much of the front above the door.
Yes,
And to bring it down, down a little from the roof and up a little from the door. And that's what
Is
they
that,
supposedly
is
came
that
back
what's
with.
shown on the
and make it
application now?
narrower, yeah, less tall.
That's fine.
But it's 2'9" and 3/4 inches. And what's the maximum, Richard?
32.
2'8".
I would have liked to have seen an actual live picture of this from some other location. I'm assuming this is a standard sign that T-Mobile is doing all over the place.
That is correct. This is T-Mobile colors. The magenta color is for T-Mobile nationwide.
So I understand the purpose for this sign on the side wall.
Mm.
Since when one is coming down the Post Road and is going towards New Rochelle, that you pass this store
Mm.
prior, or at least when you finally see the sign, you passed it already. But it's a rather bold sign on the side. I think my own feeling that a smaller sign would do the same impact to let the person know that there is a T-Mobile site there. And it's bigger than what's required in any event,
What's permitted, yeah.
32 inches.
No.
Is that right, Richard?
Correct.
But it still looks like a lot of scale. Look at the door. It's a big sign.
Right. It looks taller than the present sign. Correct?
It is taller than the present sign, at least from the photograph, the
Yeah.
drawing that they sent us.
It is actually taller, but still there are 2 inches above and below the sign.
Excuse me? Repeat that again?
The distance between the edge of the sign and the edge of the wall is 2 inches above and below the sign. It's 2 inches.
When you compare it to the existing sign, you're saying?
No, no, no. On the space that we are planning to install it, there are 2 inches of wall above the sign and below the sign.
2 inches of wall?
Yes.
Where does that show this on these drawings?
It
Well,
is there.
there's a slight border around it. I mean, it's a rendering. I guess
Yeah.
the question
They can
is,
always render, they can render
could
what
you
it looks
live
like.
with
That's
us-
the easiest thing they can
could you
do.
live with us, can you live with the requirement of sitting within the height restriction by reducing the overall sign so it fits into the current restriction?
Yes, yes. We can shrink it to 32 inches high.
Okay.
Is there any maximum height on letters, Richard? Or just the sign
24.
itself?
He said,
Well,
Well, the
he said
letters here are
24.
28 inches.
No, they're
No,
not.
it
They're
says,
20
it
they're-
says 24 on the rendering, 2 feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it says 24.
Hold on a minute.
Okay, so it's within the proper allowance for the
I'm
size.
not
of-
sure that's what it says. I'm looking at the rendering.
I'm looking at it.
It looks like it's 2'4" but let me get it back and fire.
The letters are actually 24 inches tall.
There, I'm sorry, you're correct. Looks like 2'4".
Yeah,
And it's actually a little shorter. It's taller, but less long than the previous sign.
it's narrower, yes.
But I think the impact of their colors of being a really hot,
Right. The color is
it
stronger.
really has, the impact of it is much greater.
Well,
Obviously, that's their goal.
I think asking them to conform so that to the size, so we're only addressing the issue of illumination, and then we're only addressing the issue of the side wall. I think we need to be understanding of businesses who we want to thrive in our town and understanding the actual location, that there's a tremendous amount of additional visibility through that side sign when you're driving southbound on Boston Post Road.
Mhm.
It would help the business, I think, in succeeding. And I'm not sure that it is so unobtrusive or it's so out of place in character in this town in what is already a significant commercial setting with a tremendous amount of signage that already exists. The entire shopping center across the way on Weaver Street, we've got all illuminated signs that run through there. IHOP has large signs right across the street.
We've approved similar side building signs in the town as well on other commercial businesses on Post Road. So it's not a new, wouldn't
The
be.
illumination to me is not a new issue, and we've approved the illumination.
Yes.
This is the first I personally am coming across in my tenure of a sign on the side of a
I
building.
think we just did one, didn't we do
Porsche.
one at, the
I thought we
bank,
did
Apple Bank?
Apple Bank, yeah.
Apple Bank, and also I think the Porsche dealer a while ago. There's a number of them, and it had to do with the ability to see it as you're driving down the street.
Right, and the way this building is positioned,
Yes.
with the slight turn on Boston Post Road, it's a logical way of placing a sign. I think we're all taken a little bit aback by the brightness of the sign, but I'll, refer back to the, board.
Right. But it is,
The board who's
it is-
already approved the signage.
right, and the sign is consistent with T-Mobile's trademark, so it It's not just a gratuitously bright sign. It's actually
Yeah.
there insignia.
And actually, the north side of the building doesn't face any residential area. That side of the building.
The building itself doesn't face any residential, it faces a commercial area.
Yes,
Correct. And what's the hours of illumination?
what's the hours of?
Hours of illumination.
We're gonna follow the code on that. We're gonna go by whatever the code says or, you know, your instructions.
Richard, you know what the hours of illumination are?
There
We
isn't.
did that with
There
Lexus.
isn't. You can basically, you usually do it, you know, I mean, I don't, we have to look at a site, make sure there's no site plan. Because obviously you wouldn't want to step on the planning board if they had a site plan that had hours of illumination.
I thought it was till 11 o'clock at night.
So did I, and I thought that's a restriction we put on, is it CBS?
Lexus.
I didn't think we
Let
needed
me
to
take a
put
look.
it on as a restriction. I thought that was just.
Or it was already a restriction.
I'm sorry, are we saying that there was a variance that was required for the prior signage that was obtained and this is just bigger and that's why it needs the additional variance?
Well,
Or-
one sign is being moved from, you know, from right to left. So it's in fact, basically a new sign anyway. So if it's replaced in kind, it would be one thing. And the sign on the side of the building, wasn't able to find any kind of approval from the zoning board for.
Okay,
I'm just looking through for the hours that we're talking about. Oh, here we go. Yep, you're right. I'm sorry. Thank
11
you.
o'clock.
11 o'clock. Unless there's some reason by law that they're supposed to keep it on afterwards, but. they
No,
wouldn't.
I trust Steve's memory.
So is it from 8 to 11?
Doesn't have a start time. It just says illuminated signs shall not be lit after 11 PM prevailing time.
Okay.
I mean, what time are they open till? Most places turn it off after they close.
I believe they're open until 7 or 8.
So could we state that to modify the one, that it would be, lights will be lit while the operation is, when the store is operational, but no later than 11 o'clock?
do we need to? That's what the law presently is.
But we don't allow back illuminated light signs to start with. So why not make it the minimum that solves the needs of the applicant?
So the minimum would be only when the store is open?
Yeah, but open at 7 o'clock. What's the need of having the sign on after 11 o'clock or 7 o'clock if the store is not open?
Advertising.
Yeah.
Advertising. A lot of times you want them on, you want lighting at least an hour after, just in case people are working in there. It'll help get them out, you know, helps.
Well, I have
them.
all that. There's no other lighting on the store. There's no
I'm sure there is. but it's just-
ambient lighting on the post road there. Come on.
I mean, if it's allowed, Arthur, I'm not sure why we want to apply a restriction.
One, I think it's a very bold sign. It is backlit, where backlit signs are not allowed.
But common.
But might be common, but they're not allowed. So I don't know if you remember when we did I don't think you were on the board when we did Lexus, we made them so that the lights would not be on the post road side that faces apartments. But that's the impact on residential. Well, this doesn't have an impact on residential. It's still a bold sign coming down the post road.
But we're allowing Apple Bank to have an illuminated sign, and I don't think we put a restriction on them. We did that just a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago.
Was the sign as large as this? I can't remember.
Well, the Apple Bank sign was pretty large. I mean, it wasn't the same color. I think the color is a little.
Right. It wasn't as bold as sign.
Actually, the Apple sign has a big red apple on it.
a red apple and a fuchsia color sign are two different
Yeah.
impacts.
I can see you don't like fuchsia. But I mean, I think we do have to treat the businesses consistently.
And I'm dismissing the issue of the ugliness of the sign. I will say it, I think it's ugly.
Yeah, we
But
don't like it.
it's already gone through a board that has approved this from an aesthetic standpoint. And just really what's before us is whether or not we're going to allow the variance for the illumination. I believe in supporting the businesses that are here and the value of the additional advertising that's there. And this is in a commercial area. I mean, if you were
It's a
looking
mix.
out of if you're looking out of the corner of the Homix apartments in one of those units, you might see it, other than that. And directly across the street is professional building.
Right. And the planning board was the board that approved this. Yes.
BAR, Board of Architecture Review Board.
Architectural review.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm saying they've already said it's okay to have a big ugly sign.
I guess I think as long as they follow the regulations around turning it off at 11 or whenever, then I don't have a problem, even though I don't love the sign, but it's been approved by architectural review, so.
Agreed.
So what you're saying is that because T-Mobile and I'm not sure it's 100% right, every one of the locations, it's this sign they're putting up. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
But I was told to us once about, I think it was CVS or one of them, and I went into Rye and it was not the same.
No, this one, they are changing all the signs to the magenta color. But if I can say something to you, this is facelift. When the sign is on at night, the magenta color is not gonna look that bright because it's not backlit. The light is gonna project forward. It's not gonna illuminate the magenta panel.
I
So
think the problem also is when it's not illuminated during the day, and even if it's illuminated during the day, you're really going to see this bright, hot pink color.
yes, that is correct. That is correct. Yes.
And you don't think, or at least your client doesn't think that a small sign on the sign wouldn't have the same effect? I'm more concerned about the side than in the front.
We can reduce the size of the sign if it's necessary.
Well, it's my feeling on the board that it's as a member of the board. I don't know how any of you, rest of the board members feel about the size of it. Proportionally on this panel, which really looks way out of scale.
Except what they're proposing here, if the rendering is accurate, is, well, first of all, we're going to ask them to reduce the height of the sign overall, and it is actually taking up less real estate than is the current sign that is there.
But that doesn't mean I didn't have a permit for the current sign. I'm not talking about the front of the building.
I won't argue that point with you.
Look at the door. Just look at the door in the drawing.
The existing sign on the side is actually bigger than the proposed sign.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
I said that again, yeah.
The existing sign is bigger than the proposed sign.
Yes,
Well,
so
That's what I was
That we
saying.
can see.
if you look at page 4, the existing sign is bigger than the proposed sign.
But it's certainly wider.
Yes.
Yes, it's wider.
Is it the same height?
No,
No.
it's 2 feet is the existing sign,
Yeah.
so it's the size
Right,
of the lettering. So
Right,
if you
but-
proportionally bring that down,
Right. I meant if they bring it down.
right, keep it within the 2 feet height that you had, would that be acceptable?
You mean rather than 30 feet? 30,
32.
Rather than, right,
rather than 32, we want to make them go below what the law
They're almost 34.
allows to 24.
well,
but
the law doesn't allow for a sign on the side. So
Okay.
Remember, we're dealing with the issue of illumination primarily on the front, and we're dealing with allowing a sign on the side of the building.
Right.
And Arthur's point is, that side doesn't require as large a statement, because apparently they're able to get their message across in a 2-foot sign currently.
Richard, I have a question for you regarding the size of this sign. In addition to the height of that, which is limited at 32 inches, is there a square footage or a total overall size that this sign?
Off the top of my head, I think it's 100 square foot,
100 square feet?
100 square feet. That's all sides combined on the
All
property.
signs combined to 100 square feet?
Yeah.
Man, that sounds generous.
Sounds like you're really.
You got to remember it also, this is written for a lot of different buildings, so there are bigger buildings out there. So
I have to tell you, looking at the,
can't be more than 50 feet long, if that helps.
They can be 50 feet, they can be obtrusive, they just can't be on a sidewalk.
Yeah.
Thank you. So can we move this along, Arthur? Because I think the applicant's willing to reduce the height of the sign on the side to be consistent with the previous size of the sign. They're willing to reduce the sign on the front to conform with what the code is. So I think we're down to the minimum amount of variance, which is really just looking for lighting and looking to allow the side sign. So I'm
Paul,
fairly satisfied.
if what Jonathan's saying is correct, you're willing to reduce the size of the sign vertically to what is presently there on the side? Is that what you're saying?
I'm suggesting the 2-foot height.
No, from what I understand, the maximum height of the sign can be 32 inches, correct? So we can reduce it to 32 inches.
That's on front of the building. First start with that. That's you're allowed to put a sign. Now we're on the side of the building where you're not allowed to put a sign.
Okay, so that is the question. How much do I have to reduce it?
Well, I'm suggesting that you make it the height of the current sign, which is 24 inches.
On
Right
the
now,
side,
so-
correct?
Right.
Okay, yes. So
It looks like they're measuring on the side of the sign based on this, that they're showing the letters still, Jonathan, at 2 feet. That bottom, it looks like there's some amount of sign below the letter.
Possible, I'm just asking.
about- What Jonathan is saying, and if I'm reading him correctly, is that the sign that's in question now is a side sign. And to keep the hose sign, because I'm looking at the proportions on this sheet that they have existing, and it looks like the 2 feet for the height of the existing sign, that just looks better proportion with that blank panel, which is part of the building, which is projects beyond the roof on the side. Just looks better. Even if it's shorter, it still looks better at that dimension.
Right, but it may not be 2 feet, to Steve's point, and I agree that it looks like they were trying to show the size of the lettering. I'm only suggesting that if we don't have a problem with the visual of the existing sign, we would just ask them not to exceed the height of what the existing sign is, and they will represent to the building inspector what that size is when they modify.
So what
their plans.
you're saying is they'll take the T-Mobile, which is the bright fuchsia, and scale it down to the height of the existing sign that's there now.
Yes.
which is
Jonathan and
24
Arthur-
inches.
I would prefer that maybe.
Whatever the letters come out
Come up
with your
with a size
borders and
of the
everything, the sign is 24 inches.
I just think it would be better if we came up with a size now instead of asking.
Well, do we
them.
know, does the applicant know the size of that side sign?
The current sign, yes. The existing sign is 24 inches tall and so are the letters. So the panel is the same height of the letters right now.
It just, respectfully, all I can say is the presentation doesn't look that way.
What do
Okay.
you? what do
No,
you
I think that's the front sign the front sign is like that. The side sign is, like you're saying, Jonathan, has a little bit of extra backing underneath it.
Right on the bottom.
Look, the applicant has just represented that the sign is 2 feet tall. I think we run with that. They will keep the sign to 2 feet on the side as the maximum height. And
And whatever the letter comes out to. and it's
whatever it comes out to on the lettering, it's less than 2 feet. So there's no issue. There's no issue there.
Let's keep in mind that the lettering is gonna be much shorter than 24 inches to keep the proportion of the sign.
That's
Yes.
fine. I think you can see that coming down the post.
But that's
road.
what we're asking for. We're asking.
Okay. Okay, that's perfect.
Then we have no other questions. I think, unless you do, Paul.
Yes, so what about the illumination of the sign for the sidewall?
As opposed to no illumination, what's the options?
That's what I would like to know, if we can have it illuminated or not.
And you're going to plan on the sidewall to be uplit for the illumination, not rear lit?
What is the question? I'm sorry.
That the illumination will be similar to the front wall, which will
Yes.
be uplit, not backlit.
Facelit, yes, not backlit.
I don't have an issue with that. Operating within the hours as prescribed by code.
I agree.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from our audience?
No emails and no hands up.
Or make a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Jonathan, you want to make the motion?
Sure. This is a use variance, right?
No, still an area.
Still an area variance? Okay. So in the case 3254 T-Mobile located at 1380 Boston Post Road, the applicant is seeking to put 2 signs on the building. The original application said internally illuminated, but the applicant has said these will be uplit, not backlit on the wall signs, which are not permissible pursuant to section 175-12C, and the side wall where it is not permitted pursuant to 175-11B. In reviewing this application, the board took into account the balance of the benefit to the applicant with the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. In doing so, the board considered whether an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or nearby properties. The board finds that there will be no undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. The location exists in a commercial zone within the town. Most of the establishments along Boston Post Road have either backlit or uplit signs as part of their normal advertising that they do. The T-Mobile location actually already has 2 signs on the building, one on the side and one on the front. So although the color is significantly brighter than was out there before, it's consistent with T-Mobile's image that they put forward. So the signage is normal and existing, for this area, so it won't create an undesirable change. Whether the benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant, the board discussed at length ways of making sure that the minimum variance can be required and still meet the need. The applicant will reduce the signage as proposed to make sure it fits within the code with no more than 2 feet entirety of the lettering and no more than 32 inches in total height for the front. And they will change the proposed side signs to be no more than 2 feet high, which is consistent with their existing signage that's out there. And since they require or need signage to be able to properly identify the building for its customers, I'm not sure there's anything else that's feasible to the applicant other than signage in and of itself.
Can I add one thing to that, Jonathan? That the 24-inch maximum height of the sign on the side will be proportionate to the same sign that's proposed for the front.
Yeah, well, I figured I'll condition everything in the end, just going through the criteria. Whether the request is substantial, the board would find it is not substantial since this is a replacement of 2 existing signs. Whether the request will have any adverse physical or environmental effects. The only potential effect that it could have had here was light that potentially could have shined into some residential area, but that really isn't the case. Plus, the applicant will abide by the requirements to make sure the signage is off by 11 p.m. So it's not on all night. Whether the difficulty is self-created is clearly self-created as the applicant seeks to have signage on the building, but it is not determinative. Additionally, the applicant will come back with a new proposal to the building department, of which the front sign will not exceed a total of 32 inches, and the lettering will not exceed 2 feet in height on that sign for the front sign, and that for the side sign, the entire sign will not be more than 24 inches tall, and that the lettering will be proportionate to the 2-foot height that's there to maintain consistency with the front sign. Respectfully submitted.
Also, can you add that the drawings be changed from what's stated on the drawings, that illumination is face lit channels, to what is proposed?
Agreed.
Face lit channels?
That's what's on, that's a face lit, face, F-A-C-E, lit, L-I-T channels.
And so the front sign will not exceed 32 inches with lettering not to exceed 24 inches. The side sign will not exceed 24 inches with the lettering proportionately reduced.
Correct.
You know, if they do the front side with letters that are 24 inches high on a 32-inch high channel, they're gonna have about 4 inches of border on the letters. And that's not what they're proposing. I think in size, it should just be that the sign should not be no greater than 32 inches. That's on the side. On the front, I mean, if you look at the drawings.
The front sign will not exceed 32 inches and the lettering will not exceed 24 inches.
Oh, right, that's what's in the drawing, correct.
Right, which gives them 8 inches to play with as a border.
Yeah, well, it's actually laid out already.
Yep.
Someone like the second?
Second,
All in favor?
You calling the roll or?
Arthur,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Irene,
yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
thank you.
Who seconded?
Autumn, did you vote?
Wait, what about
Irene.
Robin?
What about me?
Oh, Robin, Robin, Robin,
Yes.
Am I supposed to be voting at this meeting?
and
I don't think so.
No,
You're an alternate tonight.
next meeting though, Carol.
All right,
Sorry.
I take back my yes vote.
Yep, and Irene seconded.
Thank you.
I have a question to you. When do I have to send the revised drawings?
As soon as you get them done.
Okay, so it can be tomorrow.
Yeah.
It can. We are closing at 12 tomorrow, though.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, thank you very much to everyone and happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
Thank you, you too.
Application number 2, case number 3255, Jane Sikorsky, 89 Rockland Avenue, requesting a variance for a fence on the premises located at 89 Rockland Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 210, lot 1.
I'll make a motion, to open public hearing, except I have a question about the denial, Richard, again. It says the proposed fence will be 6 feet where 5 feet is permitted. But if it's on the property line and the applicant states that the downside of that off a property line is 4 feet lower, wouldn't that be a 10-foot high fence? Because that's what we've always done in the past. You have to
No,
go back
this-
4 feet to get a gain.
no, that fence is below the raised property of the neighbor. The property is above. They're not putting it on the wall that comes up to the fence. I have a picture.
You mean where
No,
the new variance is, where the new variance is being requested? The old variance is along the side there where you're talking about, Arthur.
Okay. And the drawing shows it as on both property lines.
But there's a pre-existing variance, I think from 92, for that run between 87 Rockland and 89 Rockland.
Right.
And so that's already in place. The variance you're looking for is really across with the neighbor on Forest, not on Rockland. Am I reading that correctly?
That's right. That's right. I think this fence has been on the property well before we moved in, and from what I understand with conversations with Francine and someone else, I believe that the existing variance was applied for a part of the fence that was eventually put up between us and our Rockland Avenue neighbor. So I think I don't know. I think the fence was installed at the same time as the variance was approved, because it all looks like it's aged the same way. So we were just, and the fence, in the past year or so with all the storms has really been damaged and fallen down. So we're just trying to replace and do the right thing by applying for the variance where the variance hasn't already been approved, just to replace what we already have.
So if I understand this properly, then your statement that the fence is that high because there's a fall off of 4 feet, and where would that be?
So there's a fall off between us and our Rockland Avenue neighbor, and between us and our Forest Avenue neighbor.
Right.
In the case between us and the Forest Avenue neighbor, the fence is on our property, on the ground level, and then their wall, which is almost directly behind the fence, goes up to about 4 feet. So 4 feet of the fence wouldn't be seen from the Rockland Avenue.
So what's the need for the 6-foot fence along a wall that's taller than I'm just trying to understand this, taller than the other side of the fence, which is your neighbor? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Because their wall would have a 4-foot drop onto our yard. So to allow safety and, to have a barrier, I guess, a kind of safety buffer, the fence would come, well, it already does come, those 2 extra feet above their wall where the drop off is. So giving them 2 feet of fence in their property to allow them some protection from the drop off, as it does between us and our Forest Avenue neighbor. There's a similar drop off, but our fence, I think, sits on top of
Rockland.
On Rockland neighbor. Our fence sits on top of their wall and protects us from the similar drop off going into their yard.
So our property sits below the Forest neighbor, but above the Rockland neighbor.
And that fence and that wall is on your property or their property?
The fence is, we haven't really been able to determine. We think it's pretty much on the divider. We've had so many different surveyors and architects saying it's on your property, it's on your property. So we've just kind of, we believe that it's on, you know, the dividing, the actual boundary line between each of our properties. So I just thought I'm going to go ahead and we'll do it for all of us.
You
So
look at the
can I could be
survey, Arthur.
clear? Oh, I'm sorry, Jonathan. I just wanted, so the fence on Rockland is already, there was a variance for that one.
Yeah.
And the fence on Forest, you have a partial fence there, which there was not a variance, and then an area where there's nothing where you want to build.
No, I don't think there was a variance at all for the fence between you, the forest fence.
Yes, correct. That's,
So but the fence that's there, we're just wanting to replace exactly what was there already without the variance. We just want to.
We want to
seek
do a
variance.
like for like replacement of what was there. Understanding there was no variance for it, but
oh, you don't want to build more in that area next to it? No.
No.
Okay.
Or in essence, you're proposing the 6-foot fence on 2 sides of your property.
Mhm.
Replacing the existing fence.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
it's not a 1-for-1 replacement. The previous board, when they had approved the variance, and I don't know if they went to great lengths on this for a reason, was that there was a 4-foot fence with a 2-foot lattice.
well, that's how we're replacing.
Now is a 5-foot fence with a 1-foot lattice, if that's what I'm seeing in the application.
No,
Still the
the-
same overall height. You know, I don't know if that's because the applicant asked for the other style or because they were trying to keep it more
No.
open.
No, it's we're applying for the same, a 4-foot tongue and groove fence with a 2-foot lattice. I don't know
The one
where,
that's circled on the application
Yeah.
is not a 2-foot lattice. That's a 1-foot lattice on that style. The 2-inch diagonal lattice one.
oh,
They do have written in there 24-inch topper though.
yeah, that was just to show the style. It's the diamond lattice as opposed
Okay.
to the square lattice, but it is a 24-inch topper. So a 4-foot tongue and groove
Right.
with a 2-foot topper, diamond topper.
Okay.
And the posts go beyond the.
It does
top,
say 24-inch topper next to the picture.
And the posts go above the topper.
They currently do by a couple of inches, I believe. So we would just seek to do the same, but they might. I'm looking at the picture now. They're quite conical, you know, fancier type, you know, tops of posts. We'd probably do something a little, you know,
less ornate.
and you know, therefore shorter.
The code does allow for the post to go higher than the fence.
That's what I was getting to.
And the existing ones also go straight up. They protrude several inches above the top of the topper.
But the code doesn't allow it.
The code does allow it.
Does.
Does allow it?
Does.
Yeah.
How much?
Actually says no more than 12 inches.
Higher than,
The fence.
Higher than the fence. 12, it says, except that ornamental and decorative features on the top posts, pillars, capitals, and gates may exceed the height limitations of the provisions by no more than 12 inches.
height limitation. So it would be 6 feet then.
The fence itself would be 6 feet, and then the
No, I'm getting to what the code allows would be then 6 feet up.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying to get this right. I don't want you to have a problem later. Richard?
Are you asking a question?
Yes.
What's the question?
So if the code allows 5 feet and it allows a 12-inch height above the allowed height, which would be 6 feet for the post, and these posts are probably 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", around there, do we have to note that?
You could if you'd like.
Okay, that's all I asked. Is that allowed without noticing it?
You could always put it in there that they will not exceed any. I'm trying to think how you could word it.
Lisa, do you understand what I'm saying?
You're
I
muted,
can't,
please.
you're muted.
I'm also trying to figure out how it should be worded.
I'm thinking if you wanted to stick with the same proportions, you could, or, I mean, really doesn't have to stick up. 12 inches is pretty high for a post to stick up above a fence.
I mean, nothing more than an ornamental topper that,
Yeah.
But they limit that in the code by saying the fence can be 5 feet and no greater than 12 inches above that for the post. We're now having a fence that's 6 feet. And then
And the ornamental
putting a
feature
post
can
on
be
both
no more than
sides. I
12
want to make
inches.
sure we cover it, so there isn't a problem.
You could always put the same, you could put the same thing in, and the ornamental feature can be no more than 12 inches above the ornamental
And we
feature on the
do-
post.
And we could reduce it. The ornamental feature
Could be
shall be
6
no
inches.
more than 6 inches.
right, we're dealing with a variance, so it doesn't matter. We can put any restriction.
All right.
I don't think the applicant is looking to do something that's 12 inches high above.
I think the 12
Right,
inches
so-
more for gates anyway. I mean, if you think about it, the 12 inches is going to be probably more on like a ornamental gate or something where you're having like a some kind of spindle going up off the top of it, not just a post cap. So, I mean, how often do you see a post stick up more than 6 to 8 inches at the most, I would think?
I think we should remember that, none of these fences are visible to any but the immediate neighbors here. Unlike something that we've seen, on Weaver Street, where we've got a fence that's visible everywhere. And it's replacing an existing fence. And the one where they're requesting in the rear yard, you've got a property that steps up significantly that's in the back, and very little of this fence, a 5-foot fence wouldn't even be seen by the neighbor. So I really didn't see it as an issue.
Right, also
Viewing the property.
this looks like it's a standard kind of fence. And those posts are standard. If we impose a rule, we might be asking them to get now a custom fence on or incur additional costs, which is okay if we deem it necessary, but do we deem it necessary?
I think the ornamental toppers, as was presented in the application, are more than adequate, and they shouldn't exceed the height of what was presented.
We'd be fine with that.
So in that case, it wouldn't require a condition. It would just conform to what the plans, as they are in the plans.
And the photographs.
Well, it needs to be something that Richie can easily,
I can, if you just per approved plans. And it doesn't have to be called photographs. Anything that we approve is we consider plans, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? From the
No.
No
viewers?
hands raised and no emails.
Actually, I had the question for Lisa. I had raised the question on the existing fence that is being replaced as to why it was back before us for a variance. The building inspector's position is that this becomes a new structure, so it had to be triggered again to review this. I don't know why we're putting this burden both on the board and on the applicant when if on something that will occasionally require a replacement. And when they're doing a like replacement, is there a way that we can condition this, or it just runs for perpetuity that allows for the applicant to go and simply do a replacement in kind? So
No.
I thought,
because the way that non-conforming uses are regulated, once they're removed or destroyed, they lose the non-conforming status. I mean,
is there a
but
percentage?
they're increasing the extent of the 6'5" fence.
In this case, Arthur, but he was just saying in general, I think we were talking about in general, or the part that is approved already.
Right, the part that was approved already. I understand the forest side. I just didn't understand the Rockland side. That Rockland had already been approved and they were replacing it with the same thing. Is it a percentage of the amount that's being replaced?
I mean,
Like if
I've
they-
always used in the past that, once you hit 50%, you're replaced, you're at removal.
Right, so if an
Um,
applicant came in and just did 50% today.
Well, 49.
Oh, so at some point, the 51%, they're gonna have to come in.
Yeah, once you get to that a little bit more. So we've had people do it.
I was just seeing if there was a way not to burden a future board in 15 years with having to see this again.
Yeah, I have seen people in the past in the other town I worked in where they had fences that had the bad side facing out, and they would replace, 30% of the fence every year, until it was done, basically, for the 3 years. I mean, and it looked like it happened for years before that, because there were parts of the fence that were 30% of the fence was worse than the other parts. They would deteriorate in that fashion too.
Well,
So.
I have a question. Is the variance asking for the entire fence or just the part that is not permitted currently under the previous variance? It doesn't say, it's not say clearly in the disapproval.
Well, the denial again is with the plans. The plans show the whole fence. I was going with the whole fence.
Okay.
And because
And
it's
you're replacing a total fence, is that
the
correct?
51% of the existing, it would trigger it regardless, so.
I think the real question came in this instance, what is new and what is not new? Back in 92, the applicant stated that it was only for the fence on one side of the property line. Is that correct? One property line. Unless I misinterpreted what you said. And now you're extending.
I'm not arguing that point, Arthur. Clearly, the fence on Forest required a variance. There was no question. I was just asking for the existing fence and why we were looking at that. And I understand the reasoning now. It just, to me, just seems strange. The board allows this because, and we went through this similarly with this issue of the house that was not closed out with the CO from 20 some odd years ago. If someone has a fence up and all of a sudden the town came out and said, we're only now going to allow 4.5 foot high fences, and the applicant wants to replace their existing fence, then all of a sudden are we triggering around the new regulations, or are we basing it on when the previous board had said it was okay? The previous code had said it was okay.
Well, Jonathan, the pre-existing non-conforming 4.5 foot fence would be entitled to remain, but then once they want to replace it or add on to it, they're subject to the new regulations. The pre-existing part is grandfathered. Anything new or replacing more than 50%.
What I was saying, Lisa, is I was saying the previous board allowed 6 feet where 5 feet is required, right? Now, all of a sudden, they're replacing the fence and they changed the code. And the code put a limitation of 4.5 feet that's out there. Now, all of a sudden, a fence that existed for 15 years, all of a sudden, we're telling them, no, sorry, you're going to have to make it lower.
Jonathan, that happens with setbacks.
It just, to me,
it happens with setbacks for houses.
It's just an odd thing because variances for almost everything that we do run for perpetuity, right? They travel with the home. They're not even with the homeowner.
With the
right?
property.
It stays there. Yet the situation for a fence, which is where a board is saying we're good with it, an applicant has to worry about sometime in the future, they may no longer be good with it. That just irks me.
Can you put?
The fence is the least type of structure that we deal with, other than maybe an air conditioner. But the bottom line is, you can take the same reasoning that you're presenting, and that it can be an addition. And the condition is a non-conforming, and they want to raise the condition. They want to raise the roof for another floor. I mean, it makes sense that it doesn't matter what the object is, it should conform to the same requirements.
Okay,
Or
we need to do
come
more
to this-
offline.
Or come to this board for relief.
Right, correct. So I'm making a motion to close the public hearing. I did that already.
Second,
Someone like to make a motion?
did we asked if there was anyone in the audience?
Yeah, they did. And again, I still have none.
Okay.
Robin, for your last one.
Boy,
Your
Hope I
parting
can-
gift?
I hope I can get this one right. All right. Well, the board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped. I should have started by saying, this is an application for a fence on the premises located at 89 Rockland Avenue. Section 2, Block 10, Parcel 1 is disapproved because the proposed fence will be 6 feet where 5 feet is permitted. And further, the fence increases the extent by which the building is non-conforming. And I guess you don't need me to repeat that, Lisa, right? That we
No.
found the benefit. Okay, so the factors we considered are whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. No, this fence is replacing a pre-existing fence. So there'll be no change. In fact, the change that will occur will be desirable because it's replacing a fence that is in disrepair right now.
Which was
Yeah.
originally granted with a variance.
Yes, which was
Only part of it.
right.
Part of
Part
it.
of which was granted a variance originally in, I believe it's 1992. But this new fence will be safer and more aesthetically pleasing because it'll be new and not in a state of disrepair. And it's also barely visible to the neighbors. Whether the applicant can achieve their goals via a reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. Not really, because they are seeking to, replace something that's in disrepair. And also is needed for safety between their property and the property of their neighbors because there's a drop off on both sides. Whether the variance is substantial, no. 4 feet is allowed, and this would be a 6-foot fence with a 4-foot fence with a 2-foot lattice. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No, it will not. As already stated, it will actually be more aesthetically pleasing. It will be safer, and it will be better for the conditions in the neighborhood. Whether there has been a self-created difficulty, yes. But we don't consider that to be important here, or what's the correct word for that?
Affirmative.
Determinative here. For the reasons stated above, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purposes and intent of the town of Mamaroneck zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. For the reasons stated above, the variance is the minimum necessary to alleviate the difficulty detailed in the application, yet also preserves and protects the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community.
And shall we add a condition? Is it necessary, Rich, to add a condition that the ornamental posts shall be per the approved plans, or that's
I
just
was actually just thinking that also, but no, it's not. It's
Okay.
because it's, the plan is what's approved.
good?
Some like the second?
Second.
Is that you, Irene?
Yes.
Irene,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes,
Stephen,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
thank you.
And who seconded that?
Irene.
Yes.
Irene seconded.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
Well, have a nice new year and happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Likewise.
Happy holidays.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
enjoy
Bye-bye.
your days. Bye.
We will.
Application number 3, case number 3256, 7 Madison LLC, 7 Madison Avenue, requesting a variance for 3 wall signs on the premises located at 7 Madison Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 132, lot 463.
Is the applicant here?
Putting them up now.
Hello?
Yes, hi. So I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Ms. Jones, you're on.
All righty. Hi, guys. How are you? Hope everyone's doing well.
Thank you.
So we will be talking about Company Chop House, 7 Madison Avenue. We're requesting a variance for the existing light box to be refaced. We're going to be using an opaque vinyl for the blue. So the only part that will illuminate are the letters. We are also requesting to paint apply a vinyl decal on the side of the buildings with the company name as well.
And size of that sign?
The size of the ones on the side of the building?
Yes.
The ones on the side of the building overall are 29.98 inches high by 96 wide. And we have a 75-foot length of the side building. And then the front sign, like I said, is just a reface of what's existing.
So what you're showing in your drawing, or who are you? Oh, first, who are you?
I'm from the sign company.
Okay, good. So what your drawing shows that it looks like that the word company is just company on the face of the facade as opposed to a sign that's on the facade.
We're refacing a light box.
No, that's front. Forget about the front. I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, it's just a vinyl graphic. We're going to apply vinyl to the exterior of the building.
Each letter, you mean, is independent
yes,
letters?
It's going to be individually cut letters applied to the side of the building. Yes.
In the color that's shown there?
Yes. The color is called out as Avery UC 900 Vivid Gold and HP 700 625.
So that's not illuminated on the side.
Not illuminated. Nope. They're just an applied graphic. Mm-hmm.
Here's an example, Steve, of an incredibly long sign.
Right, yeah.
70
You sure you don't want to
70
go 65
No, I'm good.
feet down the road?
Nope, I'm good.
This is a standalone little building in a funny area of, it's basically residential environment. Where when you come off
across the street is actually an office building on
yeah,
Madison.
but it's really basically a residential environment. Hope the apartment houses and the apartment house in the back. But all I was getting to is you come off 95, you turn right, and you don't know what you see there other than the sports club. So I understand that this would help tremendously to this little restaurant that's going to be opening up again. It's another one of those problems of the you're flying by the front of the store. This way you get an idea where what you're approaching. Let's put it that way. And it's not a bright sign.
No, they're not illuminated either.
They're not illuminated, and it's on a rather drabby side of the building. It kind of looks nice.
Is the wall lit at all? Is there any?
No, there's no illumination. It's really just for the daytime.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like.
Did this go through the architectural review?
Yes, it's already approved by the BAR.
Okay. Again, I'm looking at the presentation of the signs themselves. This is not numbered. And I'm still trying to figure out the size of the sign on the side on the parking lot side.
They're both the same.
So
On
it's
both
120
sides of the
that's
building
the
are
120
29.
That's the 122?
No, the 122 is your front sign. The lower one in the lower left-hand corner is 29.98 high by 96 wide. That's going on both sides of the building.
And it's not even really a sign, it's just individual letters that are pasted.
They're vinyl graphics cut they're special graphics applied to the side of the building.
So it will be
other.
one letter, next letter applied, and the next letter applied, correct?
Yep, vinyl, yep.
And will it weather nicely, or like, can you see
Yeah,
the
we
whole
actually
building?
We actually have it on our building in Yonkers. It looks great. We have a American flag and a bald eagle. Yeah. It's been up for about 3 or 4 years already. Mhm.
Was this a situation where the illuminated sign in the front was approved for the previous
Yeah,
owner? But
yeah,
you have to get a new variance now? because-
correct. Yes, even though it's just a reface, we have to come, the variance doesn't hold for the new tenant. It has to be readdressed.
And you'll be able to live within the 11 PM ordinance? Okay.
Of course.
And this new sign, in fact, is not as bold.
There's less illumination because we're only
Right,
illuminating the
and
letters. We're
deep-
not illuminating the
Right, not a
background.
big sign like Madison Kitchen was. Bold, let's
Right,
say.
because Madison Kitchen was white in the background and black letters, so you had the illumination onto the white.
I'm good with it.
Me too.
Come on.
Can I just ask a
Hope the
question
restaurant
before-
survives, that's why.
Before you guys stop, for just Jonathan, I just wanted to ask you, you asked her if she was okay with 11. The way the code reads, I was just kind of curious of how you guys think about this, but it's an illuminated sign should not be lit after 11 PM prevailing time unless such sign advertises a business which by law is allowed to receive patrons after 11.
That's why I was asking, because Madison Kitchen operated with that bar that was there and they ran past 11 o'clock. So that's why I raised the issue. There's a much different usage where T-Mobile was closed at 7, and this is a restaurant that may operate beyond that period. And I think it's not right to have an open business that doesn't have a sign on it.
So it looks like the
So
code
then
allows them to
the
keep
time of the
time
restaurant
on.
opening, I would have to confirm then. So if they're open past 11, I'm sure the sign, they would like the sign to be on.
It looks
I
like the code
agree.
would allow it.
Yeah, so the code would allow that for that, correct, Richard?
That's how I'm reading it.
Okay,
I don't know if you guys want to put something in there that it has to be turned off by a certain time after closing or something like that. Like a certain amount of,
Well, it
hour
says
after closing.
while it's open.
I'd assume they'll follow the town regulations.
Well, the town regulation doesn't give it a time to turn off. It just says while they're.
so if they're
allowed.
open till 12,
They
say the
must
sign's
give
gotta be
them-
off by 12:30
Yeah.
or something like that, like within the hour,
I'm
within the
saying
half hour.
Within a certain amount of time after they
Yeah.
close.
Rich, doesn't the code in the MUB give hours of operation for restaurants?
Probably does.
All right, somebody got me there.
Sorry about that. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, that will just follow the hours of operation for the business, the signs. Should we,
Well, usually, shouldn't it be a certain amount of time after? So like if the restaurant technically closes at midnight, is it allowed to keep the sign on until this restaurant is actually
It looks like it's silent.
right?
I'm sorry, I'm just reading.
I think the impact of the sign is much less of an impact than what was there before.
Mhm.
Much less.
I'm not seeing that in there. Well, that section.
Maybe that's something we don't need to determine, but
Yeah, if
something
it's in the
the
code, then-
restaurant should find out about.
Correct.
Because it is what,
They're actually going to be going to the planning board for a special use permit also, so it'll be addressed there also.
It'll be picked on the,
Hopefully not picked on.
any other questions from the board?
gotta go through 3 boards to put up these.
Are you were on all boards, weren't you?
No.
No, any questions from the viewers?
No emails and no hands up.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Would someone like to make a motion on this one? It's an easier one.
I'll take this one.
Okay,
Number 3256, application for 7 Madison LLC. The proposed front wall signs as proposed will be internally illuminated pursuant to section 240 240-47-8C4. Internal illumination is not permitted. In addition, 3 proposed wall signs pursuant to section 240-47-8C2. Only 2 signs are permitted per business on a premises. 2 wall signs are proposed to be painted that applied directly on the surface of the building pursuant to section 175-7H. I think I'm going to stop reading because we are applying the vinyl decals on the side of the building. They're not being, it's not a painted application. The board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following 5 factors: whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. The board finds that undesirable change will not be permitted. Prior restaurants in the same location had similarly sized signs approved, and this is in fact going to have less illumination than prior signs. The storefront sign is just being, it's an existing sign being reworked or refaced with a new company name and logo. The letters now will be, are smaller and less illumination than the prior
Light box.
light box, correct? So net, there's less illumination from the front of this building than in years past. In addition, the vinyl applied decal letters on the side of the building are individually applied vinyl letters that are not illuminated and will just help to identify the building from the sign and provide a small amount of branding on a long, expansive blank wall. Whether an applicant can achieve their goals via reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance, the board finds that they cannot, since illuminated signs are not approved, but this existing sign previously approved for a prior restaurant fits within the size requirements of the town. And they do have 3 exposed sides to this building. So to get, it makes sense that they would want to have a brand recognition on on all 3 sides. So in that case, 3 signs makes sense rather than the 2 that would be permitted by code. Whether the variance is substantial, the variance is not substantial. The board finds that the variance is not substantial. Again, the letters have gotten smaller, the illumination has been reduced, and there is no illumination on the side of the building at all. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood or district. And again, the variance will not impact the neighbors. The vinyl applied decal letters on the side of the buildings really are only for the daytime visibility. They are not illuminated, as well as the forward facing light box, the illumination has been reduced. Whether there has been a self-created difficulty, there is a self-created difficulty in that, but it is non-determinative for this matter. For the reasons stated above, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the town of Mamaroneck zoning order. Submitted.
I make a condition.
Sure.
that the glued-on vinyl letters be maintained, so that one of the letters doesn't falls off, will be replaced.
Of
so it
course.
looks strange.
Yep, definitely.
That's right. If it ever reads co-panny, you have to
Or
come
whatever.
Yes, of course.
company.
Would someone like the second?
Second,
Irene?
second, fine. Oh,
Arthur,
Yes.
Irene,
yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Why not?
Fine. So when do you think the restaurant will open? Oh, I have to go to planning board. It's like a year. Good.
I don't know. I think they're going for special use for outdoor seating, right, Richard?
They got to go for special use for actually having the actual build.
Oh,
the code
okay.
For some reason
Sorry.
requires them to have a special use, so.
Okay.
And meet the
So-
parking requirements?
Yeah, we're not looking at that at the moment.
Okay.
If they can't, it'll be back at you.
I'm only from the sign company, so I'm only doing the
Okay.
signs.
Yeah.
Well, have a good holiday.
Thank
You
you.
too, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Application number 4, case number 3257, Brian and Tammy Chase, 8 Bonnie Way, requesting an addition on the premises located at 8 Bonnie Way and known on the tax assessment map as block 104, lot 92.
The applicant here?
Looking and moving. I think they're coming up.
Excuse me?
I'm moving them up and out as we speak.
Hello? Yes.
Maybe. Where'd they go? Why is he not moving?
So Arthur, when you were asking where could the second sign be besides the side, I was thinking like of the Acura dealer where they have that pylon in the front. I guess that counts as a sign.
I think they specifically asked for that when they went up.
No,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying, we were saying if it's not on the front, where else could it be but the side? I think maybe it means, I'm wondering if it means standalone signs, not on the building.
No, but it also could be the rear of the building because you've got plenty of these
Right.
buildings back up to a parking lot or to a,
Yeah.
we've got many of them where on the parking lot side, they've got a sign.
Or on the board, once in front of us on the board, where Seasons 2 used to be,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted a sign. First of all, the parking lot's in the rear, so they wanted a
Right.
sign in the rear over their door, sign on the post road, and a sign facing Mamaroneck. And the wisdom of the board at that time denied them the sign over the door, in the parking lot.
Okay. Okay. I didn't mean to hold things up. It's just filling time there.
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second,
Mr. Judge, you're on.
And he's got to mute.
I think you're muted. You're still
I
muted.
can't hear you.
I'm promoting somebody else. I didn't know he was, there's another person that's actually in this one, in this. Here we go.
You're muted.
You're
sir.
muted.
how many times has that been said over the past year and a half?
Can you hear me?
Yes, but did I open the public hearing already?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, you're on.
Good evening. I'm representing 8 Bonnie Way. We're making an addition over the second floor addition over the existing garage. The house is existing non-conforming. we're trying to match all the characteristics of the house by reusing the brick, salvaging it and reusing it on the front facade of the house, matching all the details and keeping in same harmony of the existing house. We're matching the soffit line, window types, brick, shutters, everything in the facade of the house.
Well, you're not actually staying completely in the same footprint because you were gonna cantilever out and put in the lolly columns to push back in the
In the
master
back, yes.
further than it extends currently now. So because of the side yard issue, it actually increases the nonconformity, both not just vertically, but also horizontally. Just lost this.
And can you walk us through the addition? Can you share your screen?
No, I cannot. I don't have the digital. I submitted drawings.
If I open up the drawings, I'll take over the whole, it's huge.
If they are, since they're on the website, so can one of us share the screen or to pull it up?
I mean, I think the discussion that I would like to have is explain why adding the addition, which is pushing back, still fits within our mandate, which is to require the minimum amount of variance necessary in order to meet the needs of the applicant. So can you explain why the master is designed the way it is and that it's the minimum variance that's required?
Master is designed, the client asked for a bigger master bathroom, master bedroom, and a master suite, obviously. The only place that we could locate it is on the garage, where there is no second floor on top of it. So, and the existing garage is existing non-conforming. So we coming up on the left-hand side wall, coming straight up. We're not intruding into the left side setback, and the left wall of the house is existing non-conforming.
Excuse me a minute, who's just sharing the screen?
Me, Richie.
Can you, next.
How's that? I opened up the wrong, his application, not his plans.
Okay. So that's the existing proposed.
Yeah, so I'm looking at ZBA 3.
You go one up, Richard?
Yep, I'm looking at ZBA 3, right. So the master, and if you can zoom in on proposed.
Now you're asking for a lot.
You just highlight around it. That's it.
Which do you want? Is that good or you want to?
Just, no, what you got is fine. You know, we have something that's, I'm dealing with, help us with the idea of the minimum variance required to meet the need. Because the bedroom, master bath, and closets are substantial. You know, this is not a 9x10 room. It's not a, 4x6 bathroom. It's not a, standard closet. So help us with helping you by explaining why this is the minimum that really should be granted.
Well, the family is growing. The couple have few kids, and this is the need they wanted.
I don't think you answered the question yet.
Well, that a proportion, and also proportion to the house, I believe is a good sized master suite.
I agree. It's a good size master suite. Is it the minimum that's required?
Could it be smaller? Maybe.
Jonathan, I get you're looking at it because he's extending this master bedroom out over this cantilevered portion. He's extending the back of the bedroom and working outside of the envelope, so to speak. But if you were really to stay within that, then the master bedroom, then it becomes pretty tight, you know?
That's what I'm asking the applicant.
Yeah, it looks as though that you can shrink it by some of it, but to get rid of that entire addition that's cantilevered over the lower portion would really make for a tight space.
Also,
You
it
try
also-
that? Did the architect try working over just the footprint of the garage perhaps, but had a hard time fitting both the
Exactly.
closet and the master bath with a double vanity?
Exactly. They already have a master bedroom. If you look at the existing plan,
Yes.
they don't have enough closet. They don't have a good sized bathroom. They don't have enough bedrooms.
Well, I understand the need for expanding the home. I'm just saying, is it the minimum expansion that could be required? So if you had looked at the alternative, which was to try to keep it within the existing footprint, what would we be looking at as the dimensions? How large is that cantilevered addition that's there?
That cantilever addition cantilevers out about 4 feet 4 inches. It's not cantilever, it's on a post, on a beam.
Okay, on the post. So it's 19 by 4 feet? So it's
Yeah.
approximately 560 additional square feet.
Repeat that again?
Right, I've got a width here of 1911 when I look at the plans by, you said 44.
It's about
Right,
50
so
square
that's-
feet.
What?
It's about 50 square feet, yes?
Yes.
Sorry, 80 square feet, right?
80 square.
About 80 square feet. So 80 square feet turns it into a, what's that interior dimension on the other side? 3 plus 9 is 5. It's only 11 feet. So you'd be down to only an 8-foot bedroom for a master, which wouldn't make sense.
Correct.
Okay. Well, we were asking you to explain.
Well, to me, these things are, goes without saying, because this is a master bedroom that people usually, when they want to build, that they want a good sized master bedroom. Otherwise, why should they do it?
I understand. They also, there's difficulties. You got a very large amount of property here with a house that's located all the way up in the front corner and close to the neighbor.
Exactly.
And I'm assuming there's no wetlands issue here, correct? Because don't we have the river that runs through here?
Yes, there is, but we're just disturbing the 2x2 footing. So we're below the limit that we need to go through wetlands.
No, but I'm talking about the distance that where this will push out to. There's no issue on the distance to the wetlands? How
I
many,
believe it's within
Arthur,
the,
you're usually pretty good on this. What's usually the distance to the designated wetlands?
100 feet.
100 feet.
And you're allowed to invade, I believe you're allowed to invade that by 10%.
that. This is below that.
Yeah, so he's putting in a column which doesn't create much invasion.
That's what I was
Up in
trying
the
to
air.
say. Exactly.
Okay.
Correct.
Jonathan, also to your first point about the minimum, I was kind of just looking at that, wondering whether or not the architect had explored pushing the house backwards over the existing one-story structure, but given the side yard setback or that it's a front, they're really surrounded by front yards on two sides, they would need a variance there as well.
Right, the other side, it's a problem as well. Even though you have all this land, you're just kind of landlocked. Okay.
Problem I have with this is what the resultant is with your building. And that's a column 4 inches in diameter supporting the second floor. It looks a little weird.
Hasn't been designed yet. Might be a little bit thicker, wider. The structure hasn't been
Go
done.
to the rear elevation. And the side elevation.
Are you at the rear?
The side has the better view
The
of the
proposed
column.
left side elevation.
That's existing.
There you go.
Keep rotating. Keep going up, 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 up. Nope, it's not there.
There's this one, isn't it?
There. it's right
Yeah,
there.
this one, this very tall, slender element. And we haven't got an architectural board review board. And I think that would be criticized design-wise.
I believe we could cover it if any problem happens.
Excuse me?
We could trim it with AZAC or.
Yeah, but I would think you have to make it more like a thin wall going up there.
From the, continuing to the garage wall, right?
Going towards the garage wall. So it looks like, it looks like it was popped down from the sky.
We could do that. If that's a good suggestion.
And when you go to the rear, you can do the same thing. So that it can be like 2 feet coming down from the rear and making like an L shape. So it looks like it's part of the house, not something that looks alien to the house.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
I believe so. If I see it on a sketch, it will be more clear for me. I will speak to Richard about it and I will make sense out of it.
Richard, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
That
It'll
master
just
bedroom
look
is going
like-
to be extending
look
out
like
over the
something.
deck by 4 feet.
Excuse me?
The master bedroom is cantilevered out over the deck.
Deck, right, part of the
4
deck,
feet.
right.
But there is enough headroom. There is a window there. You see beyond.
Yeah, but you want, the window will still
Yeah,
be a
you're gonna
window
have
there,
like
it's
a
back,
house
it's back
over your
16 and a
head.
half feet. So if you, I can't move, I have enough, oh, I can do this. Like
Oh, I
over
was
here.
doing that.
Are you doing that if I'm doing?
Yeah, I'm doing that. We just happen to be moving at the same time.
Where's my little mouse going?
Your mouse
You
doesn't
can't
turn
see
into-
it, huh?
No, you're just, you're looking through a
sorry.
window, Arthur.
In other words, the slender
This thing.
column here can be
Yes.
widened, not the column, but a wall it can be integrated in the wall. That's about, I think about 2 feet. I don't know what 2 feet comes out to. Maybe 18 inches and going back 18 inches to look like something that's there. It just looks strange as
Is it
hell.
from ground up 2 feet?
Excuse me?
From ground up 2 feet?
Yeah, so it doesn't look like it's a slender pencil holding up a house.
Okay, I got it. It's a good idea.
I have no other comments. I mean, it's the only logical place to put it in since it is in a buffer zone.
Like when you stop sharing or?
Yep, you can stop.
Yeah, you can stop sharing it. This one else has a comment.
You're a selfish guy.
Anyone, any other questions from the board?
No.
Well, are you going to be rebuilding that deck during this construction, or that deck remains untouched?
It remains untouched. We did that job a few years back, a couple years ago. We got a variance for it.
It's a substantial deck when you go back in that yard.
Would it help if the deck swallowed up that pipe? And
I mean,
the,
you're expanding the deck?
yeah, you can expand the deck. And just at the bottom, just underneath so it follows the line of the house.
Wouldn't that
Huh.
require another
Does it need
variance?
another variance?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay.
But if Arthur, what you're describing helps to reduce the impact of,
Excuse me?
perhaps what you're describing helps to reduce the impact of just a very tall log
Fender.
column.
All right.
So,
But it'll look, in fact, the deck should make a little cutout and go to that point, because you can have this vertical element with the deck right next to it. So maybe you should.
I'm just having a problem, Arthur, with from aesthetics, again, adding to the mass of the building through increasing the deck, the more encroaching, and
No,
what does
just
it do
about-
to help
just-
meet
no,
the minimum need?
Hold it. Just the portion that the column, where the column is. Anyway, we haven't got an architect's board review, and they would definitely attack this with vengeance.
That's what I was kind of looking at, Arthur, as well, is if you extend, even though it would require a variance and you'd be making the deck larger and increasing it, it would then help to, once it's there, it would actually, I think, minimize the impact of.
Yeah, the verticality of the.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be the whole deck. It could be just a 4 foot. How far is this
They
projection?
can always come back to the zoning board when they get into the project if they decide to do that. If they, think that, hey, that's a good idea and they want to change the
They
plan.
can do that after the fact. No, am I coming back to the zoning?
With a
board?
plan.
With a plan, yes. Even during construction, they can do that.
Yes. Yeah, you can amend your plan during construction if you really want it. If that was something you were looking to do and we would just go back to the zoning board, it wouldn't hold up the rest of it.
Okie dokie.
You understand?
I know.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the,
Audience, no hands up and no emails.
then make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second,
Who would like to make a motion?
I can do it. All right. This is, hold on, application number 4, case number 3257, Brian and Tammy Ches, 8 Bonnie Way. Wait a second. The application was disapproved on the grounds that the proposed addition has a front yard of 33.7 feet where 40 feet is required, and a side yard of 8 feet where 10 feet is required, and further increases the extent by which the building is non-conforming. The board finds that the benefit to the applicants from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors. Whether the proposed variance will produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The board finds that the new master bedroom and bath, or master bedroom suite, will be constructed over the existing garage, which is already non-conforming due to the placement of the house on the property originally. There are a number of houses. It is consistent with the character, because if you look around the neighborhood, there are a number of houses which have done exactly the same thing and put a bedroom on top of the garage. So it makes it more consistent with the character of the neighborhood. Whether the applicants can achieve and it's also visually consistent with the design of the house. Whether the applicants can achieve their goals via a reasonable alternative. The board finds that there really is no reasonable place to locate a master bedroom extension that would not also require a variance. Whether the variance is substantial. The board finds the variance is not substantial because this is already a non-conforming situation, and they really just they're going to retain the footprint of the garage with the master over it, but and are not really expanding the footprint of the house. As to whether the variance would cause an adverse impact on physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood, the board finds that it should not impact physical and environmental conditions. It is not adding impervious surface. It's just raising, not adding any significant impervious surface. It's just raising adding a second floor, and the house next door to this house to the left also is a similar height. As to as to whether the difficulty was self-created, the board finds it was self-created, but is not determinative in this matter. Did I miss anything? No.
I would like to hear a little bit more about the impact of the part that pushes out beyond in the back, you know,
All right.
Only with respect really to, you know, I guess for the impact for the neighborhood, it's not visible. I would like, who's it visible to? And
It's only 80 square feet.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So the one factor that's the addition extends out beyond the back of the garage by adds an 80 feet overhang, so to speak, which is not a significant amount of square footage. I can't remember the configuration of the house next door, how intrusive it would be. Does anyone have a?
It does not extend back as far as the other house extends back. on the
Okay,
level.
thank you. Thank you. So it will extend the house back, but as Jonathan said, not as much as the neighboring house. Is that sufficient?
yes, thank you.
Fine.
I think that 80 square feet is the wrong measurement.
Hmm?
The measurement is about 50 square feet.
50?
Yeah.
Fine, then just change that.
Makes less of an impact than the 80. As the condition
Go ahead.
that the architect take the slender column which supports the corner of the addition and integrate it into two walls, one that's parallel to the back of the house, approximately 18 inches in width. And
Wait, speak more slowly. And integrate it into two walls.
yes, one which is parallel to the house, including the column about 18 inches wide, plus or minus, and one wall that is perpendicular to the rear of the house, approximately exactly the same dimension, which is about 18 to 20 inches. To give a little mass to that column so it doesn't look so strange as it presently exists.
I agree.
Since I'm gonna have to inspect this, approve it, is this?
Yeah, it has to be
wall
presented
going
to
up
you.
from the ground to the bottom of the floor, or is it just?
Well, it could, if it can be carried off the, could be with a post in the ground, just to support it at the far end of it and support
Just
it.
almost like a tall garden wall?
Yeah, tall garden, but from up the top of the grade, or what, are you gonna be putting what kind of a support in the ground for the pole, for the post?
It's a pier, it's a 12-inch pier on a footing,
What kind of pier? Are you, sonotube?
sonotube.
It can, and it's be up about a few inches above grade. It can rest on that sonotube and go at the bottom part of the wall. It'll be integrated into the underside of the second floor.
Two on the side of second floor.
So you can work it out, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Someone like to second the motion?
Second.
Francine?
Martha,
Yes.
Irene,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
Jonathan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, have a nice holiday.
You too. God bless you.
Good luck with your new addition.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Patient number 5, case number 3258, Jeffrey Collins, 101 North Chatsworth Avenue, requesting to install a heat pump on the premises located at 101 North Chatsworth Avenue and known on the tax assessment map as block 114, lot 610.
Hello,
Hi, good evening.
good evening.
I make a motion, to open up public hearing.
Second.
Want to make a presentation? Jeffrey, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Hello,
You're okay.
everyone. Yeah, so we are applying for a variance for installing heat pumps on the sides of our house. The house currently doesn't have a great sort of cooling system. And so we're going to use this system to cool the house in the summer. And then also as a sort of supplemental heating in the colder months. And it's a very environmentally friendly, state-of-the-art new system. And we're looking to put the heat pumps on the sides of the house. And the reason it needs a variance is because the feet from the property line is less than the setback. These units are new and quiet, and as compact as they come.
Are you hooking this up to air handler?
Those pumps would have refrigerant lines that go into the to the units in the house.
But how are you distributing the cold air in the house?
So there will be on the ground floor ductless unit.
One of those cabinets.
Yeah, it's like a console kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be some central for in the upper levels of the house where there are ducts.
The only question I have is if we grant this, we're granting a variance without much dimension on the site plan. Richard, where'd you go?
I'm listening to you.
It's not positioned by a dimension.
They're giving us the dimension, they're gonna have to hold to it, just like, anybody else will have to, we'll probably ask for a final survey to prove the dimension is right.
Yeah, but we're giving a variance because the house is not parallel to the side property line, slightly off. And it's a little more off on the right side of the house. The blow up.
The unit itself is fairly narrow.
No, and it almost has no clearance in the back.
It's only
I don't think it has. I don't
only
think it needs
13 and 3/4 inches deep.
Excuse me? 14
Only
inches?
13 and 3/4 inches deep.
Yeah, and I don't think it require, I can't find the dimensions. I don't think it needs any spacing from the back of the wall. I'm just concerned about that. We grant the variance on if, and when the survey does it, it's going to be over the setback.
I don't think you will if it's 6 feet, where it's already 9 feet at the house and this thing's only 1.5 feet. Even if you had additional clearance, you're allowing for 3 feet here. If anything, we're over allowing on the variance right now. I would argue the other way. I'd rather see a dimension so we could have the minimum amount that we'd have to give.
Have you measured the the areaways? Because that's what, you're lining them up with, at least on the blow up section of your, site plan.
Yeah, so we had the company that's performing the work, Phoenix Mechanical, they measured things out and
They
we
came
knew-
up with the 6.3 feet? Really?
I think this was what was denied, like when they submitted the request for the permit.
yeah,
Well,
they,
we, again, the building department just denies what we're giving. We don't make the measurements. So,
That you were denied because it was in a required side yard. That was the reason. So when
Right.
you went for variance, you're asking to reduce the required side yard to allow you to put those units in where the units are. I just want to make sure that you're not going to be going over that line.
I'm reading the application online and I do not see, do you guys have the product information? 'Cause
Yes, it wasn't online. It was in the packet. So
in the packet?
it was handed in late. Didn't
That's
get,
right.
it's not scanned in?
no,
Which unit is it?
it's a Daikin heat pump.
yeah,
What
it's only a 56 dBA unit, so that's about the refrigerator hum.
Quiet. What are the
Quiet.
dimensions of the
Very-
actual unit?
Yeah, this is an FTQ 42 TAVJUD. Crazy.
What are the dimensions, Jonathan?
It's only 13 3/4 inches deep by 24 7/18 wide.
How high?
It's high. It's a
54 inches?
54-inch unit. So so
So that's two fans.
2 fans, right? 2
They're very
fans,
they're very quiet units.
right, and coils. That's all.
In
that's-
fact, if you
And-
stand by, you won't know that they're running.
You won't know it's running, but there's nowhere on this property that you could locate anything. You couldn't put a 6-inch unit anywhere on this property without requiring a variance.
No, I think that's understood, but I think just make sure that we're providing the right.
I'm just saying, based on the dimensioning, I think they've actually over asked on the variance here, not under asked.
The contractor's probably wants to make sure he didn't have to come back.
Well, it could be,
And
or
yeah, maybe he's not planning on putting it right against the house, but giving a little room to work.
yeah, I don't have anything in the spec that talks to the clearance, but there's a set of, of coils, and it obviously has to have adequate airflow to move back and across the coils from the back. So I'm guessing you have to have at least an 8-inch clearance for a proper airflow. But, let them yell at their contractor.
I have
Well,
no
it looks
further
like
questions.
they,
Listen, we'll accept it and hopefully they fit in there. That's all I care about. Any other questions from the board?
No,
Any questions from the viewers?
No,
Richard?
no hands up and no.
Is
emails.
everybody away?
It's Christmas in 3 days. What do you think?
I can understand next week. Come on. But I make a motion to close the public hearing.
second,
Someone like to make a motion on this case
I can blow this out.
quickly.
Just trying case number 3258, Jeffrey Collin at 101 North Chatsworth is seeking to install a heat pump in their side yard, requiring a variance for 6 feet where 10 feet is required, and a side yard setback of 6.3 feet where 10 feet is required. Just double check. We don't have an issue with the cumulative side yard setbacks?
No, me and actually Arthur were talking about that the other day. We've never, like on any kind of unit, we don't count it as, we count that as its own piece. So it's 50
Okay.
feet from the other
It's only
side.
odd that it's in.
Right, just making sure.
Yeah.
So
Good question.
in looking and granting the variance, the Board of Appeals balanced the benefit to the applicant with the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. In doing so, it took into account whether an undesirable change to the neighborhood character to the nearby properties In this case, there will be no undesirable change to any of the neighbors or nearby properties. The heat pump is a small but tall unit, but extremely low dB. It's rated at 57 dB, equal to a household refrigerator. So it's a low hum. It is unobtrusive in its location next to the house. And whether the benefit can be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant. There is no place that exists on this property where anything to be installed on the exterior would not require a variance. So these are the most logical places for them, for their proximity to the air handlers and to the inside split that they're going to support. Whether the request is substantial, the board finds that the request is not substantial. As stated previously, the unit is unobtrusive. It is small and it is very low in noise output. Whether the request will have any adverse physical or environmental effects, it will not. It will not affect sound, heat, light, or airflow. Whether the alleged difficulty is self-created, it is clearly self-created as the applicant wishes to be cool in the summer, but it is non-determinative in this matter. Respectfully submitted.
Like the second, please.
Second.
Francine?
Martha,
Yes.
Irene,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Stephen,
Yes.
thank you.
Do you mix up the order on purpose every time so you keep us on our toes?
Now you're coming up on the screen.
That's how you flip around, Jonathan, when you're changing boxes.
You just bounce around. Application number 6, case number 3259. Mark Meckler, 25 Cornell Street, requesting to install a generator on the premises located at 25 Cornell Street and known on the tax assessment map as block 202, lot 159.
The applicant, I like the motion to open up the public hearing.
Second.
You're on.
You're muted, though.
You're muted. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Fuad Puyafar from Pristine Generator Sales. I'm the contractor for the homeowner, and the homeowner is seeking a variance to place a generator on the side of his yard where the existing yard is non-conforming, and the variance is for the side yard setback is currently, according to the zoning, 20 feet. He's seeking a 9.6 feet, I believe. I have to look at my notes.
Yeah, but what it looks like on the plan that you're putting the generator next to existing AC condensers. Is that true?
That is correct, but not directly next to them. It will be enough space away from them. And if
not from the drawing that you submitted.
Yeah, sorry. Is it possible that I share my screen?
Yes, it'd be great if you shared your screen.
1 second. Do I have to do that? I have to do that for you. Huh? Hold on. Haven't had anybody share a screen in a while. There we go.
Okay, so my screen is being shared right now?
Yes.
Okay, I have to somehow move. Yeah, there we go. So this is, let me begin by showing an aerial view through Google. 25 Cornell is my client's home. 21 Cornell is his direct neighbor. This is the view from the sidewalk looking into the side yard. Where my mouse is circling is behind the bushes where the generator would go. This is a closer up look of the same site. This is where the generator would go. We are proposing to put the generator at in front of the air conditioning unit. And this is a better view on this side. Did I address your question?
Why would you not locate it on the other side of the fence?
You're very close to your window, that's, I believe.
Is that the
Exactly.
issue?
We're trying to stay away from the windows.
Yep.
will it impede the airflow with the AC condenser there?
No, absolutely not. It'll be enough space, I believe. We've calculated approximately 2.5 feet. And then the exhaust of the generator is to the left, and there is no air intake in any area in that immediate vicinity. Into the house, I mean.
I guess the other place it possibly could go would be at that back corner of the house, there where you have your mouse.
But are those
Yes.
windows or vents going in the bottom? See behind the bushes? I see like some holes kind of. Are those?
You think there's basement windows there?
Yeah, they're either vents or windows. I can't tell.
Mhm.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, you might have basement windows there.
Yes, I believe so.
What is the
So-
distance of, excuse me, what is the distance of the generator to the side yard? It just, the survey, this shows the generator being placed next to the, not alongside the house, next to the air conditioning units, not out in the yard. So what is the dimension from the generator to the neighbor, to the side yard?
There's 9.7 feet on the survey. Though, so maybe
9.7, and we have 15, almost 15
14,
feet.
14.8 there. Right.
So it'll be, but you're asking for 11.2.
No, we've revised that to make it 9.7.
Oh,
Denial
okay.
says, the denial does say 9.7.
Got it.
And if it's necessary to bring it further out, if the board deems it appropriate, we can do that.
What do you mean further out? Closer
Towards
to the
the-
side property line?
Towards the property line, yes.
No,
No,
we
we,
want to try to get it further.
we're trying to get it further away from the property line.
Okay. I
Since your
understand.
neighbor is also close into the property line, that then it's, from what you're saying, the house is 30, approximately 30 feet to your neighbor.
Yes. The neighbor also has 15 feet before the house begins. So,
Yes,
yeah,
and it's supposed to be 20 at this point, right?
20 for each. Yes, it's non-conforming, correct.
What is that? What am I looking at? Is this a small, like, single room air compressor?
Yes, that is
condenser?
a one of those split unit air conditioners.
But that's not actually on the survey, or is that?
Oh, yeah,
that
there are
gray
two of
box?
them on the survey.
Pardon me?
There are two of those on the survey.
There are two of the ones that are on the survey look like these big.
Yeah, but that's not what's shown on the survey.
There are only 2 air conditioners on that spot, and one is the larger 3-phase unit, and this other unit.
Yeah,
And
but
this
the
other-
survey
that's-
doesn't show that large unit.
It shows 2 units. It just doesn't show it as a larger unit.
Yeah, they look like the same split units on the survey.
All right,
Okay,
that makes sense.
may I continue or?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So the immediate neighbor was contacted by, I'm sorry?
Who said that?
I think Abby had some noise in the background.
Okay, so the immediate neighbor has been contacted by the homeowner, and he raised some questions, which are as follows. Well, this is the homeowner's email to the neighbor, asking him if it's okay. The only thing I want to bring out to your attention. Okay, so the neighbor responds, thanks for sending me. These are the questions I have. As you know, the issue we had in the past centered largely around the fact that this area is very close to our bedrooms. Per the below is the only noise that will be generated the 5-minute test every week or two. In other words, in steady state, it is noise free. Can those tests be set to be done during the day on a weekday so not to disturb anyone when it does go on? No issue with noise during the time it is needed. My only concern would be the impact during normal times. So the neighbor is saying that there is no issue if when it's running because of a power outage. The client, the homeowner responded, thanks for the questions. Just to, I confirmed it with the contractor, only need to happen every 2 weeks, that's what the generator is programmed to do, exercise every 2 weeks for 5 minutes. Run on a schedule that I determine, which we'd set to middle of the day on a weekday. And that's exactly what we're going to do. And the test's noise level is 57 decibels. This is not correct. It's actually 58 decibels, but it's insignificant. Less loud than a normal conversation between two people. Otherwise, when not running during a power outage or during the test, the generator will be in a standby mode and make absolutely no noise at all. And the neighbor responds, thanks, Mark, no issues on our end then. So he has the neighbor's consent, and I've done a very brief noise level study. The generator produces 67 decibels at 23 feet. At the proposed 9.7 feet, the decibel level is 75, whereas if we had the 20 feet, the decibel level would have been 68. So the decibel level is approximately 7 decibels higher. And I just brought some information from OSHA as to what they consider a disturbing decibel level, and the acceptable level, what they call the permissible exposure limit, PEL, set by OSHA is 90 decibels for an 8-hour period. We're at 75. Every reduction of 5 decibels doubles the time. So if you went from 90 to 85 decibels, then the tolerance goes from 8 hours to 16 hours. And obviously at 75, it could be over 24 hours.
OSHA is pretty generous.
Pardon me?
Said OSHA is pretty generous because a vacuum cleaner is about 75 decibels. So I'd like to stand next to a vacuum cleaner for 8 hours.
That is correct. And in fact, I brought a University of Michigan Health Department study exactly a vacuum cleaner or an average radio is 75 decibels. We do recognize that when the unit is running, it's not the decibel level that is sometimes annoying to neighbors. It's the continuous.
It's the drone.
Yes, exactly. But the neighbor seems to be accepting of it. And this neighbor is the only one directly impacted.
Is this becoming more common, only needing to exercise once every 2 weeks for only 5 minutes, where usually they're 15 minutes weekly for most that I'm aware of?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. That's the older models. The new models, they took into consideration the different boards and different building department requirements. So they've reduced it to 5 minutes every 2 weeks. And the reason why they've done it that way is because of the implementation of the Wi-Fi units that reports faults both to the customer and to the designated service provider, therefore giving ample warning if the generator has a problem, therefore reducing the need to exercise every week. Any other questions?
What's the requirement from the clearance from a window?
5 feet.
5 feet. Will you be putting any screening around it?
Okay, so if you look at this picture, allow me to scroll back a moment. This is the picture of the view towards the street. And so the generator will be here in front. This is the larger air conditioner. The generator will be here. Already there's a bush. If you'd like that bush to be extended or an additional planting to be done, I could definitely have the homeowner.
And what about the distance between the property line and that 9 feet? So you're
don't
really shielding it from your neighbor's bedrooms also, best you can.
Okay. So the way to do that, this is a walkway into the side yard, into the rest of the portion of the yard. If we can do something, it's best. to
In that
include
area, precisely right, where the fence is.
For the fences, yes, I can
Yeah.
certainly make that request, absolutely.
I would appreciate that.
Sure.
I have no other questions. Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the viewers?
We have nobody in the audience and no emails.
I would just say, is the email from the neighbor, was that actually submitted in the package to the building department?
No, it was not available at the time the package was submitted.
It would be good
But
to
I
put
can-
that in as an exhibit to email that to Francine, so we have it as part of the record.
Absolutely.
Does someone like to make a motion? I'd like to close the public hearing first.
Second.
Someone like, you mean you make two today? Okay, right.
It's my last night.
Farewell.
That's right. I'll give it a try. This is an application for a generator on the premises located at 25 Cornell Street, Section 2, Block 2, Parcel 159. The generator is proposed, has a side yard setback of 9.7 feet, where 20 is required. And further, the addition increases the extent by which the building is non-conforming. The board finds that the benefit to the applicant from the granting of the variance outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. In reaching this conclusion, the board considered the following factors. 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. No, the generator will be shielded. It's not visible from the street. And we also discussed, I guess, as a condition that it would be fenced so that it's not visible to the
No,
neighbor.
so additional screening put along the property line fence in that location.
Yes.
Still to allow for passageway to the rear.
Yes. And the only visibility is to that neighboring property, and as we just discussed, there would be screening, and the property owner has approved this. The sound increase has also been looked at, and the OSHA requirements have been examined, and the decibel level is below the OSHA requirements. In fact, less than that of a vacuum cleaner.
And it'll be tested only for
Yes.
5 minutes every 2 weeks.
And it will be
During
tested.
the weekday, light
And it-
hours, correct?
And yes, during the weekday, during daytime hours, and in between, it will make no noise at all unless it's being used as a generator because of an outage. Whether the applicant can achieve their goals via a reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. No, they looked at the rear yard, they looked at the front of the house. The rear yard would involve 60 feet of trenching and other work that would increase the cost substantially. The front of the house would be more unsightly. And after due consideration, this appeared to be the best possible spot next to the existing air conditioning units. Whether the variance is substantial, no, as discussed, the noise level would not be substantial, and the physical the physical space was also not substantial. The physical amount of the variance is not substantial. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. No, there are a number of these sorts of generators in the neighborhood, and this particular generator is actually better than some of the older ones in that it only has to be tested every 2 weeks for 5 minutes. So it's less intrusive than older models. And it also is not visible from the street. We've talked about limited visibility for the neighbor, and the neighbor has consented. Whether there has been a self-created difficulty, yes, but that is not determinative. So for the reasons stated above, the granting of the variance is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the town of Mamaroneck zoning ordinance and will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. For reasons stated, the variance is the minimum necessary to alleviate the difficulty detailed in the application. It also preserves and protects the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community.
Someone like the second?
Well, before the
I'm sorry.
second, did you want to add the two conditions, one about adding screening along the property line and the other about testing during weekday daytime hours?
Yes, there's been agreement that there will be testing only during weekday day
That was
hours.
put in there already.
Yes, I'll repeat it, and screening around it in order to shield it visibly from the neighbors.
Thank you.
The neighbor, the closest neighbor.
Thank you.
Someone like the second?
Second,
Francine?
Arthur,
Yes.
Irene,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Jonathan,
yes.
Stephen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Who
Well,
seconded?
have a good holiday.
Jonathan.
Thank you very much,
Jonathan
ladies and
Sack.
Happy
gentlemen.
holiday.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You too.
It's amazing. Abby's face doesn't change for the list.
I'm back.
Abby, how did you do that? How did you do that to put a static picture up in place of your name?
I don't remember, to be honest. And
I
it's
can't
only when
find
and it only works when I'm like logged into the town ones. If I did like a personal Zoom, it doesn't come up. So I don't know. But
I
it's, I
can't
have no
find the
idea.
setting anywhere.
If I figure it out, I'll let you know. I never know.
So, I would like to say before we end the meeting that, as you all know, this is my last meeting because I have resigned as of December 31st. And I want to say that, first of all, I have every confidence that Carol Miller, who has been appointed to replace me, is going to do an excellent job. And also that it's been a pleasure working with all of you. You're a very professional board. I learned a lot and I've enjoyed it. And thank you very much for allowing me to work with you, and to the town council for appointing me. And I'll miss you, but maybe I'll come back and visit. And Lisa, thank you, Richard and Francine as well. I can't hear you, Arthur.
I can't. I'm stuck. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Arthur's keep us in anticipation.
I think we lost him.
You rendered him speechless.
Hey, get me back on it.
You didn't know it, but there's no way to do that.
Yeah, this would have been way worse.
I'm not even here anymore.
You're there. We hear you.
You hear me?
Arthur? Yes.
So, you know, you can always come back and make a motion. It was perfect what you just did.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
You gonna do the minutes?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Anybody?
Well, wait,
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes as I had amended them to Lisa. Lisa, you want to?
yes, let me read what Jonathan proposed.
Which minutes for those?
The minutes of the
November
November.
11th.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so on page 6. Well, first of all, let's just scroll up a bit. This is application for 5 Harmony, which starts on page 5. And sorry, I'm having trouble with getting rid of this on my screen. Okay, that's better. All right, so this was the one for the shed dormer. And so in the finding for 2 Little I on page 6, we said that the board finds that the benefit sought by the applicant cannot be achieved by some method feasible to the applicant not requiring a variance because the addition is, and this is what Jonathan proposed, the minimum size that meets the needs of the homeowners, and any addition would require a variance. So the difference is that this is the minimum size that meets the needs of the homeowners rather than that it's just minimal.
Okay,
And that was the only change proposed.
I'd make a motion to accept the minutes as modified.
Second.
do we have to vote on it?
Yes.
Martha,
Sounds good.
Yes,
Eileen,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Robin,
yes,
Jonathan,
Yes.
Yes. Carol? Yes. Who second? I missed that.
I did. I think I did.
I think so.
You're
I
back.
had a question also about,
yeah, well, I hope I don't lose you. Okay, got it.
I had a question about 86 Edgewood, Richie, or is that still live?
Yeah, I thought I sent you an email on that. So basically 86 Edgewood was the patio, if everybody doesn't remember, or if anybody does remember. It actually
They
did
walked
change
away.
hands anyway. So there's a new owner. They were made aware of the problem. Our code enforcement officer is following up with them. They have a couple of choices. They either come before you or they're gonna have to cut it back. So, our code enforcement officer will follow up with them and hopefully we can move forward or get rid of that one.
Question for you, does an application move with the house or is an application for the applicant?
I think the applicant, I'd probably have to make them reapply.
Right.
Because I'm just thinking the other person signed it. So,
Yeah, and I think at this point also the gap in time, they would just
Yeah.
need to apply again.
Yeah, this was August 11th was the original denial. They came before us. Actually,
so in that case, you could probably get rid of the one that you have if I'm gonna make it.
that's all I want. All I care about.
I know
is
that's what you were, I know that's what you're
applicators.
thinking.
And Jenko is still alive?
Which one? Yes.
Joko.
Yes, it is.
Joko.
Joko did-
Jerko. I'm sorry,
did-
Joko.
We got a new architect. We met with them a week ago. So we'll see where that goes. They just got to get their plans together with the new architect's name on them, obviously. He's gonna have to redraw and restamp and everything like that. So.
Hopefully they'll have a new attorney.
I was gonna say that, but
I think the attorney's staying.
he sticks by him. I don't know why.
He was very good at the meeting. We all met a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, I think it was. Everything worked. Everything was good right there for understanding what they need to do.
Okay, everybody have a healthy, safe, and happy.
May all your tests be negative.
May next year be a little better than this year, hopefully.
I like that. May all your tests be negative. Yeah.
Have a happy.
Tagline there, Abby.
Mary, Mary.
When's our next
Bye-bye.
meeting, Francine, do you know?
Next meeting
Next year.
the 26th of January.
January. Well, on that note. have
And
a
are we
happy
sticking
year,
with
everybody.
7 o'clock?
Yes, please.
Okay, have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Right.
Aye,
Bye.
Thank you,
bye-bye.
Robin.
thank you, bye.
Hi, thank you, Robin.
Good luck, Robin, on the new